let's get our acceleration with the baby Bronco. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over the all-new 2021 Ford Bronco Sport in the Badlands trim with the 2-liter 4-cylinder. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with this Bronco. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood of this Badlands, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 21 around town and then 26 on the highway, with power outputs being 250 horsepower and then 280 pound-feet of torque. Let's go over the front end of the Badlands. Obviously, it's snowing like crazy today, so you guys can't see the hood too well, but there's these 2 raised parts on either side of the hood. I really like that stylistically. Definitely makes it look a whole lot more muscular. And then you can see you've got these full LED lights, which I think look absolutely fantastic. I love the daytime running lights. It really does look like a baby Bronco. And then you've got your Bronco logo on the front end as well. You can see fog lights are just down below. And then we've got the tow hooks on the front end on top of that. And then you guys can see this bumper. It actually has a good amount of ground clearance overall, but that is everything for the front. Now, coming around the side here, we've got 2 25mm tires and 17-inch wheels in the front and over there in the rear as well. As for the design on the wheels, I really like the design on them. It just looks like really cool and like off-roady in general. And then you guys can see the tires are actually relatively aggressive, so these are going to do great in the snow like we're going to drive in today, and they'll actually do pretty good in the off-road as well. And then here's a quick look at the front suspension as well. I love the molded fender flares here around the side, and then you've got the little Badlands logo there on the side as well. And then they continue that plastic molding along the side, obviously for protection for the off-road. But yeah, overall it looks pretty cool. And then if we take a step back here, you guys can see a full side view on the baby Bronco. Let's actually pop into the back of the Sport. So you guys can see you've got a little design here that looks like tacks. I think it's a pretty cool little touch. And then you've got the spare tire just underneath with the Sport. And then you've got the floor mats as well back here. Again, they've got that tack design. And then you can see you've got a full power outlet over here with a 12-volt on the side as well. And other than that, I mean, it's got a good amount of storage space here in the back. It's just as practical as any other SUV. Let's actually finish things up in the back. Obviously, you do have the rear glass, which you can raise as well, which is another nice little touch. And then when you're done, all you have to do is just throw it back down and it just goes back into place. Pretty simple. Again, you've got the Bronco Sport badge here on the back. You've got the receiver hitch just down below, and then full LED lights here in the back, which I think these lights look absolutely fantastic. Definitely makes it look like a modern SUV, even though it has this like old school boxy design. And then you can see the roof rails at the top. And by the way, this doesn't have it on it yet, but this came with a tent package, which is going to be put on this car shortly. I'll post a picture once it's put on my Instagram, but it's going to be pretty cool with like the tent here on the top of the Sport. Let's go over things in the rear of the Badlands here. So we've got this really nice soft touch brown leather here in the back, and then kind of continue the theme of the brown just around here with the door handle and everything. And then you guys can see the seats here in the back. They just look and feel really nice. You've got suede here at the top, and then on the sides here on the top as well. And then you've got the nice perforated soft touch in the center, and it's very, very soft to the touch. And on the side bolsters as well with the seats. And let's actually pop in and get out of the snow for a second. So step in height, it's not hard at all to get in here. If you guys are wondering, I'm 5'11". I got a good amount of headroom and then legroom. Saying things backwards in today's video. And then if you guys know what these are, then you know what these are. It's pretty cool they have that. And then the little storage compartment back here, it's actually zip up, which is another cool little touch here with the Bronco Sport. And then yes, you get your normal like cup holder, armrest area, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, overall, this definitely, like, I'm not a huge fan of brown seats, but I'm a huge fan of these brown seats. Like, they just look really good. In the back of this car, just in general, I think it looks really good. Now let's go over the door panel here in the front. So again, you've got more of that soft touch here on the side of the door panel, and then the brown trim around the door handle. All of your window controls right here. And then here are the seats at the front, which again, you got the suede there at the top. You've got the Bronco logo right there just down below, which looks really nice. The perforated leather here on the center portion. And then you can see you've got really nice soft touch bolsters here on the side as well. All of your adjustments here on the side of the seat, and then you guys can see you've got the pedal layout just down below. You've got that for the hood latch, just pull it twice and that'll open it up. And then you got this for the rear, and then you do have the lights as well. And there's one more look before we pop in. Before we go over the steering wheel or any part of this, I want to show you guys like all the startup animations and everything because it's pretty cool. So first off, if we shut it off, you guys can see that you get that really cool image right there. It just beeped at me telling me to check the rear seats. But I think that's a really pretty image in general, just like with what that pops up with. And then hopefully I can get it to do the other stuff. So we'll open up the door, close that. You guys can see the little Bronco horse. And then if we start things up again, you guys can see it does a little boulder animation, which, yeah, it's just really cool, just all the random animations this does. Now here's the steering wheel with the Bronco. You've got the stitching on the center. You've got these controls for the center screen. You've got your voice command and phone controls. Again, Bronco logo right there, which is pretty cool. Cruise control over here. You've got adaptive cruise control with this, and then the lane keep assist, and then your volume controls. And then it does have blind spot monitoring, but you guys probably can't see through the window because it's snowing. Paddle shifters here on the back for the 8-speed automatic. And then you guys can see over here, you've got the little thing for the windshield wipers, and then you got the stock for the turn signal on the other side, and that is lay steering wheel. Now we do have the center screen right here. So you've got the gauge cluster on either side, which I just love the coloration on both that. I mentioned that in my other Bronco review. But you guys can see there's a couple different screens you can scroll through. Pretty normal stuff right here. Just basically shows you normal information there in the center. Nothing too crazy. But my favorite thing is the GOAT modes. It's the go over any terrain modes. And there's quite a few different modes you can go through. So you can see that you've got the normal first, and then you got the mud and the ruts, sand mode, and then you've got the rock crawl mode. I love how it shows these really cool animations again with the different modes. And on the other side, you got the eco mode, and then you've got the sport for the aggressive driving. Obviously the center screen is a screen, but the rest of it is not on the side, so it really only changes the center screen with the drive modes. You don't get any changes with the RPMs or the speed, but I still think it's pretty cool. And then I love how they have the Bronco horse as the normal mode, because it's a Bronco. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, if we pop it into reverse, you guys can see a backup camera is going to pop up. We do have trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. And then it does have the zoom in function as well, so you can zoom in on the receiver hitch to hook up to a trailer. There are parking sensors in the rear, and then you guys can see there's the other camera view out of it. Now, also with the camera system, there's a little camera button. If you press that, it'll pop open the front camera. So obviously that's going to be handy with pulling into parking spaces, but then also it's going to be handy with off-roading if you do take this off-road, which please take this off-road if you buy this. But you guys can see with the rest of the infotainment system, obviously most of it's blocked off by the wrapping over the top the first owner gets to take off, but response time on it is really solid. It comes with all the normal stuff. It's just a good infotainment system in general. They haven't really changed this from other Fords, so it's all the same as what you see in all the other Fords. So just down below, we've got our analog controls for the radio. You've got your auto stop start here, and then the camera button just to pop on the cameras. Extra storage down here, and again, you guys can see the tax right there. It's a theme throughout this car. Dual zone climate, you get heated seats and a heated steering wheel with the baby Bronco. And then you guys can see down here, little wireless phone charger, some USBs of 12 volts, and then more of the tax as well. Now I've got the rest of the center console area, so we've got some cup holders here. We've got the transmission selector, it's just a dial, pretty straightforward. Ford has this in a lot of their products now, really easy to use. Parking brake just down below that, and then the auto hold. And then we've got the cool stuff. So again, you've got the GOAT modes right here, and then you guys can see you've got the off-road cruise control, and then you got the stability control. You've got the locker for the rear, and then you've got your four-wheel drive to lock it into four-wheel drive. Just behind that, we've got the center console, which for some reason the camera doesn't like the center console. It doesn't want to focus on it, but center console nonetheless, really nice materials on it. And then we've got a glove box, which again, it's a normal glove box, so there's not really much for me to talk about with that. So I've got a sunglass holder up here, and we've got a sunroof, which is fully automatic. Like, you have an automatic sunshade. It's a small enough sunroof that you can just do it by hand, but it's got an automatic sunshade. And no, I'm not going to open it because I want to be warm and I don't want to get a ton of snow into a brand new car. Now that we're done going over the interior on this Badlands Bronco, let's quickly get into the pricing. So in terms of pricing, this particular one with all the options it has, stickers for about $37,000. That all being said, let's take the baby Bronco out with the 2-liter and see how it drives. Well, let's quickly talk about visibility before we set off here in this baby Bronco Badlands. You guys can see visibility of the hood's really good, and yes, the windshield wipers work great. There's your visibility through both the mirrors, and remember they do have blind spot monitoring. And then here's all throughout the rest of the rear. This is a smaller size SUV, but from a visibility standpoint, it's really good, again, because of that cool boxy design. More SUV manufacturers should go back to this. But anyways, let's set off. So we are initially setting off here in the baby Bronco Badlands, and I'm really excited to drive this because I wanted to see how the 2-liter engine performs in comparison to that 1.5 liter that I accidentally called a 4-cylinder. This one's a 4-cylinder, that one's a 3-cylinder. But so far, ride quality is the same in this Badlands as it was in the first Bronco that I drove. Brakes are really solid, even in the snow here. Handling, really good. Definitely feels like a small little zippy SUV, which is definitely what you would want, especially with the off-roading. And yeah, it just maneuvers so well. I love the steering on this. The steering feels really nice. It's really direct, but it's also really light at the same time. It's just exactly what you'd want from, again, an SUV of this size. Now I am gonna pop it over into the sport mode, and wish me luck, because obviously it's snowing a ton. Just kidding, I'm not too worried. The roads are just a little bit wet, and this gets such good traction that I'd never really have a worry. Gear shifts are relatively quick. It doesn't seem like it wants to downshift into first gear, however, but let's get our acceleration with the baby Bronco. So with the paddles, the gear shifts do take a second. This definitely is not as responsive as Ford's 10-speed automatic. I can for sure feel a difference between them, but this is definitely quicker than that 3-cylinder. Like, this is the engine to get. That's all I gotta say. From an acceleration standpoint, this is just so much better, especially the torque. Yeah, when you're not even in the right gear, this just has so much more torque compared to that 3-cylinder. It's just like not even a competition. Now we're gonna pop it back into normal mode and automatic mode for the rest of the video. But let's get into summing things up with this baby Bronco in the Badlands package. So first and foremost, from an exterior aesthetics perspective, I think it's an amazing looking SUV. I love the fact that they're building this boxy off-road looking SUV. I know some people are offended because they're like, oh, they're watering down the Bronco name and this and that. Well, they put sport in the name, and that's all that matters. I mean, Jeep did the same thing with the Renegade. Obviously, they didn't name it a baby Wrangler, but you know, Jeep pretty much did the same thing with the Renegade, making it look like a little Wrangler. This is the same thing, but I think this is way cooler than the Renegade. It's just like, it just has such a cool little like road presence to it, and it just looks really, really good in general. But yeah, like I said, the 2-liter engine, that's the engine to get. And the interior on this, I love it. I love how they have like the practical stuff. Like, obviously you want the interior to be easy to clean if you take this off-road, but then on top of that, they do have really nice materials. I love the seats. I love how they look. I love how they feel. And so just as an overall package, this is such a good value. Like a $37,000 SUV that looks this good, has an interior this nice with the safety tech, and you have the Bronco name. Like, what more could you ask for, people? What more could you ask for? That's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2021 Ford Bronco Sport in the Badlands package. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with this Bronco. Check out their inventory in the link below. I will see all of you in that next video.